Hello, so today I'm going to try to do a quick sketch of this view of Antibes. I took this photo last summer when we were there on vacation, and I've already done a similar sketch when I was there actually, but the entire town is so picturesque and there are views that open up at every turn of this very pretty walk that kind of goes on the old wall of the town, and you can see some mountains in the background and rocks in the foreground and yachts near the inner harbor. That tall building there, which is very characteristic, this is where the Picasso Museum is. So I never tire of this kind of seascape, and when we were there for several days, every time we would walk along this wall to the town center, I would snap a picture because it was just so beautiful to me. So I'm going to use again this small format notebook, kind of sketchbook that I'm trying to keep to develop my sketching habit and observation skill. So I'll do a sketch with the pencil and then maybe do some inking with a technical pen and maybe give the whole thing some coloring with markers. The idea is that I like to use the smaller format for more detailed and kind of demanding subjects, because that makes it easier for me to just not get consumed in the details too much. I really admire some of the sketches of the cities that I see online on YouTube, but at the same time they seem to be so detailed, some of them, that I think this kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to achieve with this type of sketching for myself, just to be able to almost freehand draw rather than doing the formal kind of architectural study of this thing. I do like the details of architecture, but I want to at the same time preserve the feel of the town, that feeling of what the town kind of looks like. It's there even if I don't look at the intricacies of this rooftop profile, etc., for a long time. So it's there instantaneously, and that's what I want to see also here. So this is that. I'm going to now use a technical pen, try to outline this thing. So 0.3 maybe. So here, this is where patience is needed, because I just quickly sketched the outline, and I think what actually will give the impression of this town is the precision of sketching. Well, somewhat precise. I'm not going to do it exactly. At this side of the wall there is some vegetation, and this combination of these dark green kind of clumps of stuff growing on sandstone this is what associates with the Southern Europe. For me, I first saw something like this in Malta, in this really rough and kind of resilient plants growing on the sides of the old castle walls, which is what this old town wall is, the castle wall. The stonework is kind of neat. It gradually transitions to completely wild rock face here at the bottom. This is where many people go snorkeling. We went snorkeling with the local guide company. They took us by boat to the kind of rocky reef nearby, and they pointed out various fish and urchins, things like that. But we saw definitely local people just swimming right there by the city wall. Really spectacular yachts all over Antibes, in the inner harbor and nearby. So that's kind of entertaining to watch in its own right. So they do come and go, but it's kind of a staple of the scenery. And there is a next Riviera town nearby. There is Nice. Again, as with any kind of natural scenery, this is what I enjoy about drawing this, that there is no pressure to get it absolutely right. Okay, I'm going to grab my marker box. Use this blue-green for the most distant mountains. The wall itself is very warm, kind of earthy color. I want it to be almost yellow. I do have earth colored pencil. This yellow is too warm. Yeah, this is the one. This is the earth tone, so that's going to be my main color for the this whole construction. Now, some of these walls are actually not walls but roofs. They're red, the reddish brown, the tiles, and some of them have very nicely colored bluish windows and this arched doorways, so I want to leave those open. Trying to turn the picture so that the camera has a nice angle here. I find, or I'm afraid, that having the camera on for this process video it actually detract from the drawing process itself, because it's another thing to do. So I'm trying to trick myself into thinking that if at some stage of the drawing I had a nice rendering of a particular part of the picture, then I should be free to experiment, and in case I mess it up, I will have proof that at some point I had a very nice picture at hand. So if nothing else, this would be a kind of learning process. Alright, so I've decided that This is going to be my red rooftops color, and I'm kind of sticking with it. For blending, I would go over the boundary of the brush strokes, or the marker strokes of the darker color. I would go over that with the lighter one, stopping sooner than I'm ready. This is the concept that I think is so important in many things that I do, from academic writing to various hobbies, etc. But it's also much easier said than done. So I'm going to just blend this transitions which I just laid out, and I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to pick up this drawing at a later time. So I'm coming back to this sketch after a break, and the first thing I see is that I've made quite a few mistakes with perspective here, so it doesn't look to me the same way it did when I left it. So of course there is a reason why art teachers recommend taking regular breaks and stepping away from your work. Well, the main thing is that you develop this kind of tunnel vision that prevents you from seeing the little mistakes you make. But in this case, this is okay, I hope, because I just want to have very kind of spontaneous and impressionistic feel to this. So I want to just show my impression of the place that I had actually when I took the photograph. So I think this is perfectly fine to have some mistakes in the technical drawing aspects of this. So again, as with all the landscapes and elements of nature, the nice thing is that the actual details of how the rock formations look like, for example, nobody really knows what they're supposed to look like in reality. Everything changes with the lighting, with the time of day, season of the year. So I think it's kind of nice, and it actually, as I keep drawing this, it looks a little bit different to me than what I remember, and that's the nice aspect of sketching and drawing in general. I think the ability to be surprised by what comes out. So with this taking breaks, it's nice to do it kind of on your own terms when you think that would benefit the creative process. And in my case, last time, for example, I simply ran out of time. It's interesting that this rocks at the foreground, they are actually warmer than the ones in the back, and that is a good thing, because that will help create a sense of perspective. Generally speaking, the things that are closer, we intuitively expect them to be warmer. And I think in the water, we'll keep things pretty minimal, just outline some of the wave troughs here I'm not going to do a lot. I find that with the water, actually the less is more. The water surface reflects a lot of light, so generally it's lighter than anything else surrounding it. And also one thing I've learned is that whether I'm using the brush or particularly with the markers, just to give a sense that it's a horizontal surface, that I need to use horizontal pen strokes or brush strokes to do this. And so that's it. Well, this is today's date, and the actual picture, of course, is from summer, but it's kind of neat to be able to revisit it.